Hello everyone, today we are back with another video from UI using React and styled components. But don't get ahead of yourself, this one is going to be much shorter comparing to the last videos, which was 2.5 hours. So this one is going to be much shorter because we are only going to implement this menu over here and animate it. So let's see where this idea came from. I was looking at this shot over here by Nico, and I was thinking to implement this page, and I actually did and animate the whole page and created a slider here, and I'm thinking to make another short videos about this one and this one. But I've decided to make the first React UI short tutorials for the menu over here, and we are going to make it in this video and animate it. Okay, so let's dive into the code. Okay, so as I said before, I'm going to use my repository over here. I'll go ahead and grab the link, copy this, come right over here. Inside here, I will uh, open the CMD. You can use your terminal if you're on Mac or Linux. I typed git clone, paste the URL over here, and name the folder YT React shorts, short videos. I'll call it shorts. There's going to be a new playlist for these short videos, React shorts, and this is a menu, animated menu. So after we press enter, we get the repository cloned over here. You can go ahead and close this, navigate to the folder, open your Visual Studio Code, and we need some packages to be installed. So I will go ahead and type npm install react icons and press enter. باید نصب شه. این معمولا این قسمت ویدیو کات میشه. Fuck you. That's pretty bitch. Okay, now the package, the React icon is installed. I forgot to remove this git over here, so come back over here, remove this git folder. You should check this one to reveal the hidden folders, remove this one, and we're good to go. So after we've installed the React icons, we should go ahead and type npm install to get all the packages get installed for this repository, because we just cloned this one, we didn't create it. Use it npx create react app. As you can see, it's done. So let's hop over here. Inside it here, I should remove the title, but before that, let me start the project, and I should go ahead and remove the title. There's some boilerplates here, and remove this. Oops, just got opened, so I will move it over here, right to the corner. In here, I will remove this, come right over here, change the display. This display is going to stay to flex. Set the position to absolute. Then I'm going to set the justify content center, align items center, set the height to the 100% of the viewport height, and for the width we're going to do the same, but this time we set this one to 100% of the viewport's width. That should be it. Let me change the colors here. For the primary, actually we don't need much colors. It's going to be white and black, but I will set the secondary to 21, 21, 21. Press save, refresh over here, and we get the background, black background there. So let's Jump back here, create a new folder inside the assets called components, and inside the components I will create a new file called Nav Menu, or the menu. It's all up to you, the naming. You need to import the styled from styled components. We need the React functional components. Let me remove this. Come over here, const menu elements style.div. You can use the nav over here. It's up to you. I will use a div, and then I will replace this one with this one. Let me type something. Menu. You come back over here, include it inside the app element. It will auto import it for us, and as you can see, we got the menu. So inside the menu, we need a bunch of items. So let's go ahead and import them. First, we need the colors. Then we should import some icons, because we're going to need these three icons. One is the home, one is the search, and the other one is going to be user or the profile. Call it whatever you want. So I will import the RI home from the RI search. Search to line from React icons slash RI package. Then I'm going to import the AI outline user from the React icons and the AI package. Then we need to import the use state, because we are going to use the use state hook from React, and we should be fine now. Okay, as we hit save, the problems should be gone. Let me refresh. Yes, the problems are gone. Let me remove this and define our elements. But actually before that, we need some stuff to be actually created over here or defined over here. First one is already over here, the nav menu element. The second one is going to be item. What we're going to do is to set this one, set the whole navigation to a wrapper. Then we need to wrap the icon and the title inside another wrapper, which I'm going to call item. Then we set the display to flex and set them on center, and we start to animate them. So okay, right in here we should define the item object. Item is equals to styled. We could use span. Then we're going to need a title, style.span again, and we should go ahead and use them actually. So inside here, I'm going to define a new item, or actually use the item that we defined over here. Inside the item, we got the icon. First icon is the home, RI home. Then we need the title, which is going to be home. So let's see, where is the problem? I think I've misspelled this RI home. So RI home line is the right one. So let me replace this. If we press save, we get the home icon over here, and that's fine. So let me copy this, paste it 3 times, change the line to RI search. The last one is going to be AI outline user, and if we press save, as you can see, we get this elements over here. So let's animate, or before that we should style them first. So for the menu, I'm going to set the max width to set the max width to 400 pixels, set the display to flex, set the justify content to space round, align item center. Then we need to add some paddings, 0.7 rems for the side and bottom and 2 rems for the sides. Background color is going to be white. We could add some box shadow. We got the shadow over here in this design, but since our background is a dark background, I'm not going to use a shadow, but it's your call. You can go ahead and add a shadow to it. Set the border radius to we could say maybe 50 pixels. Set the width to 100%. Then set the margin 0 for the top and bottom and 2 for the 2 rems for the sides. Then at the end we set the font size to 1.3 rems. So let's hit save, and as you can see we got this kind of fundamental menu over here. Next step is going to be the item itself. So to style the item, I will go ahead and set the display to flex, set the justify content to center, set the align items to center as well, and we're going to set the background color. We need a conditional rendering over here, so I will escape the string using this. Now we can type JavaScript in here, so I will pass in the parameters or the props, and we're going to use a props called active. So I will give the active true here. If you set the props without anything, it will be a boolean, and it will be the active true by default. And if you remove this, the active is going to be false because it doesn't exist. So active is going to be true for now. We're going to change it in a bit. If the active prop is true, we set the background color to colors.gray. Oh, we don't have the gray here, so let's go ahead and define the gray inside the colors. Right over here, I will define a new color called gray, and I will set that to F4, F4, and F4. And if we come back over here, inside the colors.gray, and if it's not active, we set the background color to white, or we could go ahead and inside here define a new color called background. I will set the null for it. If I save this, we should get the result that we wanted. Yes, as you can see, we get this gray background, but we need to do some padding here. So for the padding, I'm going to give it a padding of 0.5 rem for the bottom and top and bottom, 1 rem for the sides. Then we need some transition, but I will apply that at the end. The border radius is going to be 30 pixels, and the overflow is going to be hidden. The cursor is going to be pointer, and that should be all. As you can see, we got this one. So we're going to add a hover animation here. So when we hover over it, the background color is going to change to colors.gray. And as you can see, if I hover over here, it changes. Right inside in here, I will set a transition for the background color 0.5 seconds, and yes, we got the transition, as you can see. So the next step is going to be setting some styles for the item, or sorry, the title. The title is going to get the font weight of 600% or 600. The font size is going to be 1.1 rem. If I press save, you can see that it changed over here. Next step, I need to get back over here. Let me show you something before we go ahead. As you can see over here, we got the item. This is the item. We have three of them, which we've just defined over here. Inside the item, we got SVG, which is the icon itself. This one, sorry, this one. And right below that, we got this span, which is the title, which we've created here. So in order to access them from a parent, we can go ahead and type this. If you type something like this and say, for example, SVG, it gets the direct child of the SVG, all of the SVG childs of this element. This represents the elements itself, the item. So if we give some styling over here, it will apply it to the SVG, which is the icon in our case. So we can style it this way. We need to set the font size for the icon to 2 rems. Then I think that's all for the icons. Let me see. Yeah, that's all. But we need to do some styling for the title. So we're going to go ahead and type this and address the span. Inside here we need to set some things, but before that we need to define some animations. لال شدم should define some animation. یه انگلیسیم ته کشید. Okay, we need to define some animation here. You can go ahead and search animations in CSS. In CSS, we're going to use the style component keyframes, which is kind of equal to the animation CSS. So let me show you something over here. As you can see, we got these animations from to, or you could use the percentage, as you can see over here, inside the CSS, but we're not using CSS or actually a direct CSS here. We are using the styled components, but how to use the animation inside the styled components. In order to do that, I'm going to create a new file in the assets called animations, and inside the animations I will import the keyframes, not this one, the keyframes from the styled components. And the keyframes is exactly the same as the CSS animations. Actually the syntax is kind of the same. So I will define a new animation called let me see, I'm going to call this one, let me export it, export const fade out to right, and it's equal to keyframes. And you can go ahead in here and say 0% do this animation, on the 100% do another animation, or another properties for the CSS or the styling actually. So you could go ahead and type in, I don't know, 76% and do something over here, but I will there's a simple transition from 0 to 100%. We don't need a complex transition, so I will say from 0 to the 100%. For the animation itself, we need to do some transition. So I will go ahead and say transition translate, and translate from the 0 and the 0 to with the opacity of 1, and here at the end it goes to 110%, which is going to take all of the items width in this case, because it's the x-axis and here is the y-axis, and actually moves the element outside the view. This element is going to go over here, all the way here outside the view, and the opacity is going to be 0 because it's going to fade out. So right over here, we don't actually going to need this one, but it's good if we use it. So if we define it so we can use it later, and it should be done. Let me copy this one. We need another animation called fade in from right, so it's exactly the opposite of this. It's exact the opposite. opposite. Alright. We need another animation called fade in from right, which is the exact opposite of this one. And right down here, I'm going to copy this one, paste it over here, copy this, and paste it over here. Easy as that. So it gets faded from outside the view with the, we should change the opacity over here to 0, and here from 0 to 1. It moves the element all the way outside the view to the view from 110% to the 0, and change the opacity from 0 to 1. So let me save this, go back over here, and we're going to give the animation to the span, which is the title and this one over here. So first I'm going to use the main reason I used it here, accessing the item here, because we have the item here, we can go ahead over here and say the animation, but we are passing the props to the item, not the title, sorry. We are passing the props to the item, not the title itself, so we cannot go over here and say like this, pass the parameters and get the active here, because there is no active. The active is on the item. We could do some prop drillings and pass the active to the title, but it doesn't make any sense in this case. So I will access it over here, and I could use the p or the props over here. So p.active, if it's active, we're going to use this one for opacity. Opacity is going to be equals to this. If it's active, so set the opacity to 1, and if it's not, set the set the opacity to 1, and if it's, I don't know what's going on. If it's active, set the opacity to 1, if it's not, set the opacity to 0. Then in the next line we are going to set the display to kind of the same here. If it's active, set the display to block, and if it's not active, set the display to none. Next prop is going to be animation, which if we got the active, animation is going to be fade in from right. If it's active, the fading from right will be applied, and if it's not active, the fade out to right. We don't get to see this one actually, because as soon as the active gets triggered, the display type is going to set to none. It's going to be set to none because we've set that here. Let me comment this one. Go over here. You can see it doesn't work actually. Let me refresh the page. It doesn't work because we have no time frame over here. So it's going to take place in 1 second. And let me go down and see if there is anything we need to do. We should go over here, right? Over here, let me refresh this here. As you can see, this one gets the opacity working. The animation is actually working, but this one is right. It's not right. So it's going to be translate. I misspelled it again. Translate. Now it should work. Refresh, and it's still not working. So it's not transition, it's transform. My bad. Transform, and it should be working right now, as you can see it over here. So let's go back over here. To manage the active item, I'm going to use useState. So const current. You can name it whatever you want. It's all up to you. Set the current, and set current is equals to useState, and the default value is going to be home, which is the default item in here. So I'm going to come down over here, remove the active. We are going to pass in a condition which will set the active. So active equals to, if the current is equals to home, return the results to the active. If the current is equals to home, the active is true, and if it's not, the active is not true. Simple as that. So let me copy this one, paste it here, and here we should change the home to search, and this one to profile, or anything you want to call it. We need some on click function here, on click. So if we click on them, on these items, the current gets changed. So if the current is not equals to home, we set the current to home, like this. If I press save, so what's the problem here? Oh, the problem is, I always keep forgetting this. You cannot pass in the function or the command itself because it will run on the runtime. We should use a delegate or pass in a function, use a function here. I will create a new arrow function and paste it here. So if I press save and copy this one, let's see the current misspelled again. Current, I should get used to these keywords. Okay, if I copy this and paste it for the others, the menu should be working fine. So the last one, and change the home to profile. Right over here, change the home to search, and if I press save and get back over here, you can see that we got our menu up and running. So everything is working. Thank you guys for keeping along with me. I will post some new videos, some exciting videos are uploading. I've been busy this week, so keep the waiting on, and you should get some beautiful content this week. I will start with this new playlist called React Short UIs or React UI Short Videos, and this is the first video for that specific playlist. So uh, subscribe to the channel. um, Tell me in the comments what you want me to do, what you want me to design, and take care.